Well, I don't know where we left off last night, but I wanted to ask you more about Arkansas.
Okay.
Get as much as I can about it you said you were in your first house till you were 3?
In the
Or
what?
for how long did you live in your first house?
About 3 years.
So you're about
when we
3?
moved away from it, yeah.
So you don't really have any
half
memory.
A mile, huh?
You don't really remember much about that house.
No,
huh?
very little. Yeah.
It was a half a mile from where your other house was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Across the fields. I mean, around the road.
Right.
Had to move further.
What was the reason for moving? Did you say you think
Have
before
no
closed?
idea.
Or?
I have no
Yeah,
idea
Mom.
about that one. I don't have any idea about it.
Is that Mom?
That's Grandma.
Yeah.
And then you moved to the other house, and you were there until that same house until you were 17, and that's when you moved
No,
out.
we moved maybe I don't know, a few months or maybe a year or something. We had to move to another place because we lost the one we had lived in.
Oh, okay.
No, the one I was born in, I don't have hardly any recollection of that house. Just a couple of things is all that I have remember in that. And then we moved to the one where we, did all of our growing up in until, and I probably was 16, when we moved.
So how did they do a birth certificate for something like that?
They didn't do them.
Huh.
You had to get a belated birth certificate when it got to where you had to have birth certificates.
Right.
You had to have somebody that was older than you or somebody that had known you for a number of years.
Come in and claim you were who you said you were, huh?
Yeah.
Well, when did that happen? How old were you when
that
instituted
happened after we moved out here, and Granny and Grandpa went back to Arkansas to visit, and they went in and got all of our birth certificates for us.
Oh, okay.
And years later, we signed. Let's see, I think it was Hazel Morgan. Her husband wanted to get her birth certificate because she didn't have one, and we signed for it.
Oh, okay. Being there local, knowing her, and
yeah, if you've got to know them for some time at least, that
right.
that would have been their age or something. But yeah, they didn't used to do that.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So then you lived in that house for about a year. Is that the one you were telling me about last night?
Yeah.
And all the hallways. Okay, come on.
I don't remember how long. We weren't there very long, but probably around a year. And then Grandpa and Granny and Aunt Fern and Uncle Calvin and the friend came out here, and my aunt and I stayed there for part of that year too. While they were out here, out in you.
Well, you tickling Grandma.
He likes to tickle Grandma, and then when they came back, they I don't know why. Evidently, they hadn't paid up on the house or something because they almost immediately moved into a duplex. One of my cousins that I didn't even know that she was in the other part of it, but they found a job for me, and I worked until we were ready to come out here. Actually.
And that's where you live. So you didn't really live in that house much then?
Well, no, probably for 6 months to a year, maybe. I I just don't remember at all how long it was with them.
Huh.
And moved to Ravendale, and of course I spent almost 50 years there, just like a little bit, been 50 years.
Now, the whole time you were there in Arkansas, your dad worked on the same plot of ground? Did you guys own that land?
We owned 40 acres.
Uh-huh.
Of farmed it for raising everything we needed, and he worked. I don't know what they called him or anything, but then he worked for a couple of lawyers, and he was around the courthouse a lot. But to really know what he did, I don't know, because they never talked anything about things to kids. And
this is your father.
Yeah. And,
well, how old were you when your father passed away?
Well, he died after we came out here.
Oh, okay, so you were adult.
He died in 1958, I think.
Oh, okay.
I've got it in the records. So, let's see, Linda and Leanna both remember him.
So growing up all the way through your childhood,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But we never knew our grandparents on his side of the family because they were dead long before we were born. In fact, my grandmother, I think, died in the 1800s, and my grandfather probably right at the either the last of the 1800s or first of the 1900s.
So how old was? Now, who's Gramps? Is that the one you?
That's my dad.
That's your dad. That's what they call him.
Yeah.
How old was he when he met your mom?
When he
married your mom?
Well, let's see. She was 20. He would have been 38.
Okay. Huh. Had he been married before? Or?
Yeah. They separated, and that's about all I know. But I did know later that they adopted a daughter, because I was talking one time that if I didn't have children, I would adopt.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, that doesn't work out. So evidently it didn't work for them. And eventually I found out what her name was and everything when I started doing research on, finding the family.
So have you ever contacted her? Or?
No, I never could find anything about her at all, only just that what her name was, and she was in a school picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they didn't have, with his first wife, he didn't have any other children?
No, just the one they adopted.
Then he met Grandma, or Granny, and the rest is history, as they say.
And what?
And the rest is history.
Yeah, I guess.
Where were they married at? They were in Arkansas as well, or?
Yeah. They were married at a little town called Kibler.
Kibler.
That's where my grandparents lived, Granny's parents.
Now, do you remember them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my grandpa died in our home.
Oh, okay.
They lived right at Kibler, and we lived between Kibler and Van Buren. And my grandpa got real bad sick. I'm sure he had a lot of back problems because he used to walk just almost
hunched over. Well, how old was he when you?
I don't know. I'd have to look in the records to see that. How old.
Well, I guess I'd have to go back and say that'd kind of tell it. But Granny was their oldest or youngest?
Their baby.
That was their baby.
They had 8 children, and one of them died when she was about 16, somewhere along in there. I forgot. Again, that's all in the records.
Right.
She died when she was about 16 years old, and then let's see, the oldest boy was in the First World War, and he got TB when he was in the Army. And he went home. When he went home, his wife caught it from him, and she died before he did. Go ahead and take care of him.